Chapter 4 Noah, Part 3 of the Legends of the Jews, Volume 1. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by M.L. Cohen, Cleveland, Ohio, July 2007. The Legend of the Jews, Volume 1 by Rabbi Louis Ginsburg. Noah leaves the ark. Though the earth assumed its old form at the end of the year of punishment, Noah did not abandon the ark until he received a command of God to leave it. He said to himself, "As I entered the ark at the bidding of God, so I will leave it only at his bidding." Yet when God bade Noah go out in the ark, he refused because he feared that after he had lived upon the dry land for some time and begotten children, God would bring another flood. He therefore would not leave the ark until God swore he would never visit the earth with a flood again. When he stepped out from the ark into the open, he began to weep bitterly at the sight of enormous ravages wrought by the flood, and he said to God, "O Lord of the world, thou art called merciful, and thou shouldst have had mercy upon thy creatures." God answered and said, "O thou foolish shepherd, now thou speakest to me. Thou didst not so when I addressed kind words to thee, saying, I saw thee as a righteous man and perfect in thy generation, and I will bring the flood upon the earth to destroy all flesh. Make an ark for thyself of gopher wood. Thus I spake to thee, telling thee all these circumstances, that thou mightst entreat mercy for the earth. But thou, as soon as thou didst hear that thou wouldst be rescued in the ark, thou didst not concern thyself about the ruin that would strike the earth. Thou didst but build an ark for thyself, in which thou wast saved. Now that the earth is wasted, thou openest thy mouth to supplicate and pray." Noah realized that he had been guilty of folly. To propitiate God and acknowledge his sin, he brought a sacrifice. God accepted the offering with favor, whence he is called by his name Noah. The sacrifice was not offered by Noah with his own hands. The priestly services connected with it were performed by his son Shem. There was a reason for this. One day in the ark, Noah forgot to give his ration to the lion, and the hungry beast struck him so violent a blow with his paw that he was lame forever after, and having a bodily defect, he was not permitted to do the offices of a priest. The sacrifices consisted of an ox, a sheep, a goat, 2 turtle doves, and 2 young pigeons. Noah had chosen these kinds because he supposed they were appointed for sacrifices, seeing that God had commanded him to take 7 pairs of them into the ark with him. The altar was erected in the same place on which Adam and Cain and Abel had brought their sacrifices, and on which later the altar was to be in the sanctuary at Jerusalem. After the sacrifice was completed, God blessed Noah and his sons. He made them to be rulers of the world as Adam had been, and he gave them a command saying, "Be fruitful and multiply upon the earth." For during the sojourn in their ark, the 2 sexes of men and animals alike had lived apart from each other, because while the public calamity rages, continence is becoming, even to those who are left unscathed. The law of conduct had been violated by none in the ark except by Ham, by the dog, and by the raven. They all received punishment. Ham's was that his descendants were men of dark-hued skin. As a token that he would destroy the earth no more, God sent his bow in the cloud. Even if men should be steeped in sin again, the bow proclaims to them that their sins will cause no harm to the world. Times came in the course of the ages when men were pious enough not to have lived in dread of punishment. In such time, the bow was not visible. God accorded permission to Noah and his descendants to use the flesh of animals for food, which had been forbidden from the time of Adam until then. But they were to abstain from the use of blood. He ordained the 7 Noachian laws, the observance of which is incumbent upon all men, not upon Israel alone. God enjoined particularly the command against the shedding of human blood. Whoso would shed man's blood, his blood would be shed. Even if human judges let the guilty man go free, his punishment would overtake him. He would die an unnatural death, such as he had inflicted upon his fellow man. Yea, even beasts that slew men, even of them would the life of men be required. The Legends of the Jews, Volume 1 by Rabbi Louis Ginsburg, The Curse of Drunkenness. Noah lost his epithet the pious when he began to occupy himself with the growing of the vine. He became a man of the ground, and thus his first attempt to produce wine at the same time produced the first to drink to excess, the first to utter curses upon his associates, and the first to introduce slavery. This is the way it all came about. Noah found the vine which Adam had taken with him from paradise when he was driven forth. He tasted the grapes upon it, and, finding them palatable, he resolved to plant the vine intended. On the selfsame day on which he planted it, it bore fruit. He put it in the winepress, drew off the juice, drank it, became drunken, and was dishonored, all in one day. His assistant in the work of cultivating the vine was Satan, who had happened along at the very moment when he was engaged in planting the slip he had found. Satan asked him, "What is thou art planting here?" Noah, a vineyard. Satan, and what may be the qualities of what it produces? Noah, the fruit it bears is sweet, be it dry or moist. It yields wine that rejoiceth the heart of man. Satan, let us go into partnership in this business of planting a vineyard. Noah agreed. Satan thereupon slaughtered a lamb, and then in succession a lion, a pig, and a monkey. The blood of each as it was killed he made to flow under the vine. Thus he conveyed to Noah what the qualities of wine are. Before man drinks of it, he is innocent as a lamb. If he drinks of it moderately, he feels as strong as a lion. If he drinks more of it than he can bear, he resembles the pig, and if he drinks to the point of intoxication, then he behaves like a monkey. He dances around, sings, talks obscenely, and knows not what he is doing. This deterred Noah no more than did the example of Adam, whose fall also had been due to wine, for the forbidden fruit had been the grape with which he had made himself drunk. In his drunken condition, Noah betook himself to the tent of his wife. His son Ham saw him there, and told his brothers what he had noticed, and said, "The first man had but 2 sons, and one slew the other. This man Noah has 3 sons, yet he desires to beget a 4th besides." Nor did Ham rest satisfied with these disrespectful words against his father. He added to this sin of irreverence the still greater outrage of attempting to perform an operation upon his father designed to prevent procreation. When Noah awoke from his wine and became sober, he pronounced a curse upon Ham in the person of his youngest son Canaan. To Ham himself he could do no harm, for God had conferred a blessing upon Noah and his 3 sons as they departed from the ark. Therefore he put the curse upon the last-born son of the son that had prevented him from begetting a younger son than the 3 he had. The descendants of Ham through Canaan therefore have red eyes, because Ham looked upon the nakedness of his father. They have misshapen lips, because Ham spoke with the lips to his brothers about the unseemly condition of the father. They have twisted curly hair, because Ham turned and twisted his head round to see the nakedness of his father, and they go about naked, because Ham did not cover the nakedness of his father. Thus he was requited, for it is the way of God to mete out punishment measure for measure. Canaan had to suffer vicariously for his father's sin. Yet some of the punishment was inflicted upon him on his own account, for it had been Canaan who had drawn the attention of Ham to Noah's revolting condition. Ham, it appears, was but the worthy father of such a son. The last will and testament of Canaan, addressed to his children, read as follows: "Speak not the truth, hold not yourselves aloof from theft, lead a dissolute life, hate your master with an exceeding great hate, and love one another." As Ham was made to suffer requital for his irreverence, so Shem and Japheth received a reward for the filial deferential way in which they took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders, and walking backwards with averted faces, covered the nakedness of their father. Naked the descendants of Ham, the Egyptians and Ethiopians, were led away captive and into exile by the king of Assyria, while the descendants of Shem, the Assyrians, even when the angel of the Lord burnt them in the camp, were not exposed. Their garments remained upon their corpses unsinged. And in time to come, when Gog shall suffer his defeat, God will provide both shrouds and a place of burial for him and all his multitude, the posterity of Japheth. Though Shem and Japheth both showed themselves to be dutiful and deferential, yet it was Shem who deserved the larger meed of praise. He was the first to set about covering his father.